Welcome back, Warrior Family.
Yay!
We are so excited for today's next episode in our Mundane Anxiety series.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 3 in our Mundane Anxiety series.
I'm still working on that song, that jingle I want. All I got is like mundane anxieties.
All right. I like it.
Thanks.
We'll just stick with that then. Mundane anxieties. There you go, everyone. That's the jingle. That's the sting. Hope you loved it. So what were our other ones? We did TV and we did food.
Yeah.
Right. So today we're going to be thinking about the mundane daily, for some of us, task of driving.
Yeah.
And how driving, being on the road in a vehicle,
can
sometimes cause us some anxiety.
Yeah. And it might not feel very mundane at the time.
Not always.
But it's like a daily thing that can happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you sometimes don't even like realize that you're feeling anxiety when you're holding your breath and gripping the steering wheel. You know, you're like, no, this is just driving. And
right.
Like, no, actually it's not. It's
normal to white knuckle. Normal to white knuckle the wheel, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So what kinds of like things come up for you when you think about driving anxiety?
Okay. I mean, the first thing that I think always comes up is tractor trailer trucks.
Wow, that's a tongue twister.
Yeah, tractor trailer trucks. Trailer trucks. I think that a lot of tractor trailer trucks are pretty reckless. When I used to commute from Woodstock to New York City, 3 hours each way, and in the morning at like 4:35 in the morning, I'm driving. There's a lot of tractor trailer trucks on the road, and they are speeding and they are swerving and they are like tailgating and riding people, bumpers. And I have heard of a number of horrible tractor trailer truck accidents, and driving past them always causes me a lot of anxiety. So that's like the first thing that comes up. But then I can just, making a left turn when there's no light, or there is a light, but there's a ton of different lanes. And it's like, oh, which lane should I go into? Because if I remember, driver's ed correctly, you're supposed to go to like the closest one, but sometimes you need to get all the way over to the right to make a right after you make the left.
It's the worst when you have to get all the way over, like after an exit ramp.
Right. You're like, ooh, right. And so then I have anxiety about other people speeding and whipping past me, right? That causes me anxiety. And then I sometimes have unpleasant thoughts about those people. And then I remind myself that's not nice because I don't know why they're speeding, right? So then it causes me anxiety for judging them when I don't know why they're doing it. Like, it's like, this is me drive, right? This is my life in cars. Anytime I see a cop, even when I'm doing the speed limit, I'm driving totally normal. The moment I see a cop, I'm like holding my breath and like micromanaging my holding the steering wheel. Right.
Yeah. Make sure you're at 9 and 3 or 10 and 2 or wherever your hands are supposed to be.
Right. Just act normal.
Don't look at them. Don't look at them.
Yes. Right. Don't look in your mirror to let them know that you see them. Like, driving alone at night. Right. Or even just driving alone, period. Anytime I'm in my car alone, I always hit the locks, like lock that door.
Yeah.
Driving on highways kind of goes with tractor trailer trucks. Then there's like the fear of being late while driving, but not wanting to speed. Right. Then there's like the anxiety of what if my car breaks down, even though there's no reason my car should break down, but maybe I'm in a place I don't know where I'm going. And now I'm going to fear my car breaking down.
Or like the weather is so crazy bad and you see cars pulled off that are like, you just feel so bad for them. But at the same time, you're like, thank God that's not me.
Yes. Oh, that's even another anxiety is when I drive past people and they need help and I don't help them. And I'm like, I should help them. But also like, I don't know how to change a tire. Yeah. Right. What am I going to cheer them on? You got this.
Sorry you're in this predicament.
Right. I mean, yeah. So that is like the starting point of the things that come up. Do you have anything to add to that mess of?
Yeah. I mean, everything. I don't really have that much of a problem with tractor trailer trucks, which is interesting because I have Well, when I share in a couple of minutes, like I have really intense, I used to have extreme driving anxiety. Like it was not a mundane thing for me. It being mundane has been a little bit more of like a last 10 years revelation as opposed to like since I started driving. So yeah, I mean, all the things you shared with it, with that is one exception. Not that those trucks are, I'm not like, oh, those are cool. I want to go speed in the middle of two of them in the middle lane. Like, no, but like generally that I'm not thinking about them too hard generally. One thing that also comes up for me is that like, I'm always freaked out about making sure I stop by school buses because like, you're supposed to stop no matter what. And sometimes I'm like, I have that mini freak out where it's like if a bus is pulled over and they have their hazards on, it's like, but the stop sign on the bus doesn't go out. Do I stop? I'm like waiting for the cars next to me. Are they going to stop? Should I stop? Am I supposed to stop? But then like, then I'm like looking it up. I'm like, okay, it has to be that the bus is picking up a child and that the stop sign that they are in charge of opening has to be open. But like, then like recently, Adam got a ticket for not stopping for a school bus that was on the other side of a median. And I was like, yeah, I'm like, oh yeah. In New York, at least you can, I knew like, to me, like when I learned how to drive, I made sure that those little rules were like ingrained in my brain because I, like you said, getting tickets, getting pulled over. We heard in our previous episode where I mentioned my win of the week was not getting my very first ticket. Right. But it was my first time ever being pulled over and how much anxiety I had talking to this police officer and being in the moment. Thank God Adam was in the passenger seat next to me. But all of that freaks me out so much. So I would just add those couple of things. But otherwise, everything you said pretty much lines up for me. I'm
even
like, oh my God. Yeah.
Like going the right speed limit. Like sometimes I get anxiety. Like I am very like, I like following the rules when it comes to driving. Right. So for me, driving on like the throughway, right, I will not go more than 5 miles per hour. I won't. Like, I don't like speeding. Right. Like I don't want to get pulled over. I want to be safe, And then like when people like when the speed limit is 65 and I'm doing 70, right? And then people are doing like 80, I get anxiety like I'm the slow one, even though I already am like, oh my God, I'm already breaking the law. Right? Like, and I know, most likely we'll get pulled over for going 5 over.
No, but, I mean, I think most cops in most states are just like 5 miles over the speed limit. No one's pulling you over for that. Not unless they're being an a-hole.
Right. But then like, what do I do with all the people going 80 miles? Like that gives me anxiety. Like I want to be part of the crowd, but I don't want to do what they're doing. Right. Like,
God, you just made me think of like when I was in high school, there was a friend of mine who on the road that would lead up to our high school, it was like 25 or 30 miles per hour, but it's for such a long stretch of the road.
Yes.
And she was the only one like ever to just do the exact speed limit. And it used to make us all bananas because like, could you speed up? But like, at the same time, I understand like the anxiety behind like, I'm not going to break the law. I'm not going to get a ticket, whatever, but
right. The anxiety of
I'm the one that's doing 80 in the 7 in the, when you said that'd be me, for sure. Cause I have I don't feel like I ever like overspeed, but I'm definitely staying with the crowd unless everyone's going a ridiculous speed. Right. I'm not just doing 5 over. I'm probably doing 10 over.
And you've only been pulled over once.
Knock wood. It stays that way.
Yeah.
Oh man. And of course it was like at the time it was like a rolling stop issue. It wasn't even on a highway. It wasn't even like
right. I got pulled over for speeding once and it was so stupid and unfair. I was going to pick up Dan at the airport. And wait, maybe was I doing that or was I going to the airport for myself? I can't remember, but what I do remember is I was going to pick up Dan. I was looking to get to the parking garage. And the signs were all a little bit confusing. And it was like, it was 45. I'm doing the speed limit because I'm doing the speed limit. That's what you do. Right. and I went to where I thought the parking was. And apparently the speed limit changed to like 20 because it was actually where pickup was. And I quickly realized, but not quick enough. And I got pulled over for speeding. And I was like, dude, I wasn't speeding on purpose. Like, And the cop still gave me a ticket, but he gave me a less harsh ticket because I was explaining that I wanted to go to the parking lot and I was confused and I had to ask him for directions.
Yeah. What a pain.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Worst.
Yeah.
So frustrating. I wish that driving wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
I just wish that like we could just like teleport places and just like hop in some kind of special machine. But it's so funny because I had more anxiety about driving than I did about like flying. I've always been able to fly, no problem. I don't post 9/11, I struggled more. And then of course, just becoming an adult when like a lot more things freak you out. I feel like, like I had a lot less fears about certain things as a kid.
Yeah.
And a lot more fears now about other things that I didn't freak out about then. It's like this weird, like, I don't know, paradox or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like there were things that scared me as a child that no longer scare me. And then there are things that didn't scare me as a child that now scare me.
Right.
So like I have more fear of flying now than I do of driving, but I didn't start driving until I was 23 years old because the idea of driving gave me so much anxiety. Like this was not mundane. The concept of being in control of a vehicle and being on the road with all these other psychopaths at the time, it just felt like everyone's insane. No one was driving properly. And it was like listening to my parents bitch about drivers and driving with siblings and friends, you know, when I got to high school or whatever. And like seeing the stress sometimes. And even like my dad is the most calm, relaxing, competent driver that I know and have known forever. And so like he's not the example. Although sometimes he's going a little bit too slow, right? And so I feel like felt anxiety about like I wish you would speed up because everyone around you is going really fast. So I'd wind up, and because I had so much I used to get car sick a lot growing up. If I didn't sit in the front seat, I was like vomiting.
Yes.
So like, I don't know, being in the car always felt really traumatic in a way. Like I felt like I needed to sleep. So like as soon as I would get in the car for more than like 20 minutes, I would be asleep. And I feel like it was my body's way of saying like, you need to relax because you're stressed out.
What was the anxiety? Was it when your dad's going the speed limit and all these other people are driving? Was it the anxiety that you wanted your dad to match the other people? Or was the anxiety, because we didn't actually talk about this one, the anxiety of like wanting just to be somewhere and the anxiety of waiting, like either being stuck in traffic or just feeling like the journey was so long, right? Like, you know, that like we didn't talk about anxiety being stuck in traffic, but if your dad was going slow and you know how like waiting can cause anxiety, was it more the waiting piece or more the like, I just want you to be in the flow with the other people?
It was more about the speed of everybody else and less about the waiting.
Yeah.
Because the wait, I always struggled with like, I was always good in the car as a kid. Like I was quiet. I didn't complain. Like, I want to get out. You know, like some kids are just, they hate being in the car or whatever. And these were like the days before cell phones and iPads and like stuff to keep kids like engaged on long car rides. And so like, I would just sit and listen to my parents talk or stare at the window. Like maybe we'd play a little car game, or I'd have like I couldn't read in the car though either because I would get so seasick, not seasick. Car sick. That I felt like I was very limited in my choices. I could just sit quietly and maybe have a conversation, look out the window, or I had to close my eyes and fall asleep. Yeah. So like traffic is a whole other thing. We can talk about that in a minute, but like, yeah. So for me, when it became time, and I mentioned this in a much earlier pod for like, okay, it's driving time. Like my dad had gotten me my first car, which I did wind up using a few years later when I eventually started driving, but he got it for me for my high school graduation. So it's like, I'm 17 and I have no interest in this car. And like my friends have been driving for a year already at that point, and everyone was so good to me and would just like pick me up and drop me off and drive me places, and friends, family at Adam. And so I kind of just got really comfortable with that too, because the idea of driving myself gave me so much anxiety that I felt like I felt paralyzed. Like I was going to be unable to do it. Like just sitting when everyone was like, oh my God. At the same time, they were like, oh my God, was this the best gift for Margot? Like, cause they knew. And it was like, I had to feign happiness, but they could tell. My mom was like, this was a mistake. I told you she wasn't going to want this. And she wound up driving the car those first few years. And like, I wouldn't even practice. Like I refused. I didn't get my permit. I didn't do anything. I'm like, I love you. Thank you. But you wasted your money. Like it was basically like the first words out of my mouth. Like it felt so bad, like in retrospect, but I knew at the time, I was like, I can't and won't do this. And you can't make me, basically was where I was at. Like, and my first 2 years of college, like I took the town bus to school. If my friends or Adam weren't going to be going to, cause we all went to community college together our first couple of years. If they weren't going to school, then I was taking I got comfortable with taking the town buses to work. Sometimes I was on 2 or 3 buses a day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And like, to me, even though I didn't enjoy that, I also knew that I couldn't drive. I just was not ready to drive. I had so much intense anxiety about it. So it wound up being like, once I reached the place where I had fully graduated, then when I went away to school, I didn't need a car because nobody really had a car anyway after I transferred. But when I got back, I knew I had to go student teaching. And I literally looked up the ways I could go via bus because it was so far. It was going to take me, like I would have had to get up at like the crack of dawn to get to school on time. And I was like, okay, now's the time. I got to do this. I felt like I had no choice. I was 22. I certainly felt more mature in general, but like still felt really scared about driving, but we went really slowly. And I was good. I felt, my dad was a great teacher. He did a lot of work with me. And then I did a few professional lessons. The guy was like, you definitely got this, I did fail my first test because oh my God, I was a wreck. I was a complete wreck. But then, what was it, like 3 weeks later, I did it again and I passed with flying colors. So like, it was great. Thankfully I got through that, but it was hard. And then of course, my first 2 years teaching, I was driving to Queens. And so like, it was crazy. It was like, I started driving and then I was immediately like thrown at the wolves. And for everyone who's a non-New Yorker, right, driving through any of the boroughs of Manhattan is, it's intense driving circumstances. Yes. It's intense driving. I know, but not everybody out there knows. And so, I mean, and now driving anxiety feels mundane. So now it's like stuff like traffic. And I'm so glad you brought that up because I know that's one that we both share. It's so the worst.
It's like rage producing.
Rage.
It's like anxiety, but also like just ridiculous blind rage.
Like you said before about like saying things like horrible things like judgments and stuff. Like I say really deeply disturbing things to other drivers in my mind.
Yes.
Like things I'm not willing to say here on the pod.
No.
Just so messed up.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like the worst of humanity. That was very dramatic. I feel like I feel like I have less compassion and care for humanity when I am stuck in traffic with them.
So true. Oh my God. If these walls could talk, I'm telling you.
Oh,
Adam's heard some of it because he's the only one. Maybe like my sister too. They're the only ones that have heard like the wrath that I'm yelling at people.
I mean, even just the ridiculousness of like when you're trying to make a left, right? I know I talked about making a left before, but there's traffic and no one will let you in. Like, are you kidding me? That makes me not like humanity. It doesn't have to do with driving at that point. It's like you are showing like we're in traffic. Nobody is moving. You could literally wait another few seconds so I can squeeze in this ridiculously hard left turn. But instead, you don't. You squeeze into the car right in front of you. Come on.
Yeah. Right? It's just rude. It's rude driving.
It's rude. Or merging. I mean,
that's another anxiety.
Holy
separate
moly.
from traffic. But yeah.
I just feel like people cannot merge very well, and their poor merging skills, maybe they have anxiety and I could have more compassion for them, cause me anxiety because it's like, just get the F over.
Yeah. Honestly, it shouldn't be that hard. It shouldn't be that hard. Or at least in your head, it's like, but you mentioned before, it's like, I don't know why people are speeding. I don't know why people are bad at merging. It's like, I'm always trying, usually in deep retrospect, because in the moment I'm like, I'm just like screaming.
Yes.
No, like you said, no love and compassion for those people. But then afterwards, I'm like, I always ask for forgiveness to my own heart and to like the higher powers in the universe. Like, please forgive all the horrible things I said in my drive today.
Yes.
I don't even know who I'm talking to. I'm just like trying to remind myself, like, you're better than that, Margot.
Right.
You're better than that.
Right. I mean, what I try to do is I try to say like, okay, hopefully they are just jerks and nothing bad is happening.
Yes.
Right. Then I feel like it's a win for everyone. Cause like, I hope nothing bad is happening. And if nothing's bad is happening, then I can label them just a jerk.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're just a jerk then.
Yeah.
As long as there's no emergency, they can just be a jerk. You can feel better about yourself.
Right. Exactly. Right. Yeah. So like for me, when I'm thinking about driving and the anxiety that comes up, when I'm like driving past the tractor trailer truck, which does cause me stress, I usually do like a really long, slow exhale.
Mm-hmm.
But when I am in traffic that is barely moving, especially when I need to be somewhere, I have learned that slow exhales don't help much. Somatic holds don't help much, right? Positive self-talk, like it's okay, you feel rushed. Naming it to taming it don't help. But what helps me is putting on music I enjoy and angry screaming it.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Take some Little Mermaid, angry scream that stuff in the car. There's something very like helpful in the moment with that,
Okay, now I need to hear you angry scream something from the Little Mermaid.
I mean, it's hard because like, one, I don't want to scream into the mic, and two, I'm not angry or rage filled right now, but it would be like,
boo,
look at this stuff.
Isn't it neat? Oh, it's so good. I'm going to be thinking about you doing that next time I'm stressed out driving.
Yeah. I mean, because it kind of lightens the mood, right?
Yeah, sure.
And it's a song I enjoy, but I'm also being able to like scream, yell it, which helps me with my rage. Like sometimes rage just needs to be screamed and yelled, not hurting my vocal cords, but in a powerful, loud way.
Yes. No, I hear you. Those sound like supportive tools. No, they do. I mean, if it works for you, then great.
Yeah.
For me, I'm still prone to panic while I'm driving. So I feel like I'm a very comfortable, competent driver. I've been driving in all situations now since then. So I'm almost 40. So since I'm 23, 22, if you count before I officially got my license, but I get a lot of tunnel vision when I'm driving in traffic, especially, or if I'm actually, it's one or the other. It's if it's traffic, so there's so many people around me and no one's moving, I'll get tunnel vision. And if I'm driving on a highway where there's like nobody and it's just me or just me and a few other drivers, it's weird. It's like the total opposites will cause me to feel and be in tunnel vision. And then I also will notice like I feel really hot. I feel like I'm in control, but I'm not in control kind of thing. I feel myself start to spiral. And so like, and then it becomes the overthinking, right? So it's like the one thing will lead into the next thing, into the next thing. And so it's the sensory overload. It's so many things. And so like, whenever I notice any one of those things start to come up, heat in my body, starting to overthink, tunnel vision, or sensory overload. So if any one of those things is happening, my first move is to turn off whatever sound is happening in the car.
Yes.
So if it's music, if it's podcasts, whatever music, if there's someone talking, I have to, it's got to be quiet.
Yes.
Quiet. So it's either silence. I need silence usually for the first several minutes or few minutes. It really depends on how bad it is. And then if that doesn't help, or in addition to, windows rolled down or blasting the air conditioning, because usually with those other symptoms, overheating is always there present with the other symptoms. So like it's overheating and sensory overload. It's overheating and overthinking. It's tunnel vision and overheating. And so like my instinct is I need blasts of cold air to my face. The other thing is that I've come to learn that I can't be in the car without water. There has to be water in my car.
Yes.
And so that's a huge, huge go-to. It's a must. And then after a while, and the other thing, the final thing that I do if I'm in the middle of something or this kind of panic or whatever while I'm driving is ujjayi breath or ocean breath. So for anyone that's unfamiliar, it's like a closed mouth kind of throat constricting kind of breathing. It's a yoga pranayama. Like it's not something I would suggest. Like, I mean, if you have no familiarity and you're interested, you can kind of Google it or whatever, or ask a yoga teacher about it. That I find to be very supportive. And I try to breathe in a very even-handed way, in for 4 to 5, out for 4 to 5 kind of thing. And so if none of those things work, then it's time for me to pull over and make a call or take a break or do something else. Wait it out, put my chair back, close my eyes, like whatever the situation is. But that's only happened to me a couple of times. Really, all those other practices help me a lot. So like having access to water immediately, being able to get a cold blast of air, whether it be through the windows or the air conditioning, or sometimes both, as even though the counteractive as far as the environment goes. Sometimes I need it, depending on how hot it is outside, I need the air to be cold. And so I might just like have both on even for a minute or two. And then trying to be in silence. And if I can, after a while, if I want more sound again, it has to be instrumental. No words. Right. Because again, that adds to my sensory overload.
No.
So like if I turn music back on, it has to be quiet and has to be instrumental.
Yeah.
But yeah. Those are the practices.
No, it's so funny because like, I don't even think of that as a practice, but that is definitely one of my go-tos is the moment I need to like focus, right? Like when I'm driving, like, I mean, if I'm driving around the block and I know like I'm going like to our vet, which is 5 minutes away and it's a super easy thing, like I can play music, I can have a conversation,
Yeah.
But driving to new places where I don't really know where I'm going, I need to pay attention. Driving where like there's fast movement, I do the same thing. It has to be silent. I have to be able to focus, and all of that stuff just becomes like really loud noise in the background. And I can't focus on someone speaking, but it's just kind of agitating at that moment because I'm trying to focus on the driving, or I can't listen to the music. It's too loud. It's distracting me from my focus on the driving. And so without even thinking about it, I just like zip it, like turn the stuff off, can't talk, like, and I love that you included that because that's like something I do, but I've never really consciously thought about it the way you just talked about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's this like a lot. I feel like we've had a lot of our guests kind of mention that driving anxieties come up for them even lightly. So I think we hope that anyone out there listening can just like find something that they resonated with and what we shared. Maybe found a couple of ideas here that we sprinkled in towards the end about ways to navigate when you notice your body or your mind heating up, so to speak, or overthinking or coping with something and you're not sure what to do about it. Hopefully one of these ideas might be able to become part of your tool bucket. So keep some water handy.
Angry scream Disney.
Scream some Disney, right? Maybe you need to turn it up. Maybe you need to turn it all the way down. Maybe you need some cold air. Maybe you need some really warm air. Like your body temperature may need something, right? That you can offer it really quickly in the moment. Maybe it helps to have a phone conversation with someone. Maybe pulling over for 5 minutes or for as long as you need is helpful. Calling for help, right? I mean, don't be afraid. Like I know in the beginning, I didn't want to be that person to like, just power through, Margot. Don't pull over. Don't be that person that's pulled over because she has anxiety. And it was like, who am I trying to impress? Am I trying to get myself killed or get other drivers killed because I'm an idiot and I'm not going to pull off when I'm freaking out? Like, to me, it took me like years to have the freaking wit to be like, hey, none of your tools are helping. You need to get off the road.
Take a break. There's no shame in taking a break.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some type of meditative breathing practice may be supportive, may not. There's a lot of stuff to think about out there. Warriors.
There's a lot of stuff to think. Yeah, with driving.
Right. It's something we do. Most of us, many of us every day, maybe at least every week, or even if you're a passenger, right? There's so much anxiety that we didn't even cover that goes into being a backseat driver. So having backseat drivers when you're driving, oh, forget it. This could be a tangent. So, you know,
or
what does it feel like?
Yeah. Even like autopilot driving. Like, have you ever had it where you're driving and then you're like, oh my God, where was I? Like, how did I get here? Like,
just no mindfulness while you're driving, zero connection to the here and now.
Yeah, it's like, how long was I there? Yeah.
It's like, how did I get home? That's the scary thought. How did I get here?
Yes.
It's like, were you inebriated? No, I just got in my car and drove the way I knew to drive home. Like, where's my brain been for the last 20 minutes?
What was it doing? I know. Right. There's so many tangents we could even go on this topic.
Honestly. Yeah.
A lot comes up with driving.
So seemingly mundane, but so many, like we're learning whenever we talk about something that seems mundane for a lot of folks, even for us, sometimes we're like, is this even a mundane one? Is this a big one?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's a little bit of both, you know? I think so many of us can say like this type of anxiety feels like it's all the time. So it feels kind of normal, air quotes. And other types may feel a little bit more intense. I know for me, it's a mixed bag. So it's a mix of like, sometimes it gets really bad like it used to in the old days, and most times it just feels like little annoyances like traffic or trying to merge from the left lane. You have to get all the way over to the right lane to make a right turn immediately, like little things like that. So we hope that you will take a moment out of your day, your week, to hopefully at least be nodding along with us to reflect on how driving anxiety shows up or doesn't show up in your life. And if you don't drive, but I would assume maybe you've been in a car before, or been in a vehicle of some kind, what kinds of things do you experience as a passenger in your anxiety journey? So, all right, Abby, do you have a win of the week?
Win of the week. I do. So, you know how, well, I don't know. I mean, I've created some Insight Timer courses and some Insight Timer tracks. And some are free and some are for kids and some are for adults. And, I was definitely having a lot of anxiety around creating practices for adults because the reality is I am afraid of mean reviews. Because if I got mean reviews on a kid's practice, like how mean can the adults be? Right. Like that's the reality. But I realized like, I'm not creating these practices for reviews. I'm creating these practices to be of service. So a month ago, I created one and it took me a little bit of time to do all the stuff, but it got accepted and it's had nice reviews. And then, I just really like created one in a quicker, more expedited time frame, and I didn't overthink the title and I didn't overthink the summary, and I uploaded it on Monday and it was published today.
Woohoo!
So the win is one that I have another track up there. It's totally for free. It's a mindful check-in practice. But the win is really that I didn't overthink it all, because I'm reminding myself that I'm doing this as a service to others, and it's not about the reviews, and I can handle those reviews if unpleasant ones come.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. First of all, your practices are amazing. Everyone go check out Abby's Insight Timer. She has so much great stuff up there. You do for kids, for grownups, all different time frames. There's courses, there's 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It's so accessible and so valuable. And so many of the practices you share are practices that I use on the regular. And I mean, who just doesn't want to be guided by you? Like, you're amazing. You're amazing. So warriors, that's a huge win. I'm so happy for you that's dropped.
Yes.
So by the time you hear this, it's been out for a hot minute.
Yes.
So that's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll create another one by then. Maybe I'll have another one up.
Maybe a new one. That'll be exciting. So maybe definitely check it out regardless. Maybe there'll be an extra one there too. And then leave good reviews because she deserves them.
Yes, they help other people find me.
Woo. All right. So that's such a good win. Yay.
Yay. Thanks. Yeah.
All right, warriors. Thank you so much for being with us this week on our mundane journey, driving anxiety. If you have mundane topics for us, or any topics you want to share, or anything at all you want to share, wins of the week, you think you'd be a great fit as a guest, hit us up. You can email us at anxietywarriorspodcast@gmail.com. Join our Instagram fam. We're at Anxiety Warriors Podcast. We have lots of fun over there, sharing tips and tools and graphics and videos of us and our guests, and fun and informative reels and stuff like that. So
funny
come
too.
Join our fam.
Funny too. Funny reels.
Fun, and informative reels and videos. There we go. And if you have 2 seconds, please smash that 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening. Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel if that's where you like to tune in. And Warriors, we have some fabulous merch up in our Threadless shop. So click on that link in the show notes, grab yourself some Anxiety Warriors swag, or for the warriors in your life.
Yes. So thank you all so much for going on this journey with us. We are so grateful you all are here.
We love you. Until next time.